Hi and welcome to WoW Flash, where we go over the news from the last week on anything to do with Warcraft. And, well, very surprising news about Chris Metzen, although, well, it was surprising to me and I think a lot of people. Apparently not to everyone, but never mind. More on that later. So, first of all, what's actually been happening directly related to World of Warcraft? Well, the recruiter friend has been nerfed, and this has caused an awful lot of hoo-ha. I wouldn't say a major backlash, though. This is not the sort of thing where they're going to change their mind on anything. But certainly some controversy. So basically, recruiter friends, you refer a friend. The idea is they play the game. You can level up together. You get a bit of an XP boost when you're playing together, as well as a mount. And the XP boost has been nerfed by about, well, 75% really. It's been reduced from 200% extra experience down to 50%. So it's only a quarter of what it was before. And one of the arguments when the discussion got going, we had, I mean, wonder of wonders, we had a community manager that's based in the US, Law no less, actually responding on an EU forum. This has to be one of the modern wonders of the world now. But anyway, what they were saying is what a lot of people were doing was using Recruiter Friend basically to boost their own characters. So get the Recruiter Friend, get an account. You're paying a very small amount and get a bit of game time, and then just boost that character up and then transfer it to the main account. Now, okay, I mean, I agree that's the sort of behaviour that you don't necessarily want. But as some people have pointed out, what's really to stop those same people having just boosted it on the main account anyway with a recruiter friend? So, all sounds a bit weird to me. Plus, of course, you could simply stop that by stopping people from transferring from that account. But for whatever reason, you know, they've reduced it down. The main reason they gave was nothing to do with that, by the way. It was not abuse by people using it to massively boost up their own outs, which I wouldn't consider abuse anyway. It's circumventing something that should already be in the game, in my view. That's my view. The reason given was it's not very edifying if you've got someone leveling up, then they suddenly go into a dungeon, get a load of XP, suddenly come out of it a few levels, and, you know, they've got several new abilities because you want the abilities spaced out while you're learning. Well, I agree with that. But the problem with that thinking is we already have that situation as it is anyway with Death Knights, because the restriction on those that you used to have a character at level 60 on the realm to be able to do a Death Knight, I don't think it exists anymore. So someone could just make a Death Knight. And of course we have the level character boosts. So a brand new player can actually use a level boost to boost themselves all the way up to 100 and get all of their abilities at once. So again, it's one of those situations where the thinking behind it, although you can agree with it, it's inconsistent with other features in the game. But that's my opinion. But, you know, it is as it is. There's not enough of a backlash for them to pause and rethink it. So it's going to stay as it is. Now, the weekend maintenance. Obviously, patch 7.3.5 last week was a bit of a disaster. And they patched at the weekend. North America on Friday and EU on Saturday. It's much better now. A lot of things still not been fixed, but I think the majority of people can now play the game without noticing a lot of things. I think it's fair to say there are still some underlying problems. I mean, Blizzard acknowledged this. They, beforehand, privately at least, were not really in any great belief that the problems were all going to be fixed. The main issues seem to be a few bugs. They think they know what's happened on Mythic Argus. People are just basically straight up dying on Mythic Argus to the fog. That's not supposed to happen. In raids in general, we've got some sound issues. Some sound issues have been fixed. The main inconsistency at the moment is sounds that are caused particularly by add-ons are inconsistent. So if you have an audible tell from a boss model, something like that, it's not always sounding. I experienced that myself when we were doing our Mythic Coven kill this week. And it's a bit annoying. One solution potentially to that can be go back to the old, get rid of all the game sounds, and your add-on sounds may work more consistently. Hopefully that's something they'll be fixing, but there's no real word on that. So I think that's going to be one of the ones I was alluding to last week that may take some time for them to really figure out what's going on. Hopefully not. Hopefully that is the sort of thing that can be fixed relatively quickly, but don't know. They have alluded to the fact that some of the issues are very complex fixes. The Postmaster title, so one of the new features of 7.3.5 in terms of content, is doing the Postmaster achievement and getting the title. That is now account-wide. It wasn't account-wide before. It is now. It's the sort of thing, you know, it's sort of, you just do it on one character. There's no benefit in doing it on a particular class, so Blizzard don't really have an argument for restricting it and making you do it on every character. So that's now account-wide. You can use the Postmaster title on any of your characters if you've done it on any character at all. And in terms of this Friday, penultimate little thing, this is a bit of a non-news thing, but it may become news. I don't know. There seems to be a lot of people convinced that Blizzard are about to make a major World of Warcraft announcement this Friday. Now, I haven't seen the source of this, so I can't attest to this at all. I don't detect any sort of buzz or anything like that. It just seems to be that an awful lot of people seem to think there's going to be an announcement. Now, let's just imagine that there is a major announcement this Friday. What could it be? If it's going to be a major World of Warcraft announcement, you could probably think one of two things. Either, which is what a lot of people seem to think it is, an announcement that the beta is opening. It's possible. It's certainly due round about now. I am less than convinced because although it is due round about now, it seems strange to open it up last thing on a Friday when everyone goes for the weekend. The beta, when it first opens, is going to be unstable. It's likely to be better to have it on earlier in the week. Just my view. But the second thing that potentially could be announced is what's coming up in 2018 for Legion. We now don't know what's happening. Normally what happens is when a patch comes out, a content patch comes out, what they've tended to do fairly consistently throughout Legion is to put on a Q&A fairly quickly. They tend to do these on Thursdays. And then they talk about the patch. And then they also talk about what's coming next and promising that in a couple of weeks' time it'll be going up on the PTR for us to start testing it. Now, that hasn't been announced yet. And again, that also makes me doubt, you know, they could announce what's coming up in 2018, but their usual format, as I say, has been these live Q&As, and they have tended to be scheduled for Thursdays. So again, for both of them, I doubt. So it's one of those things. It's a bit of a non-news thing because I am not sure there's going to be a big announcement, but there could be. Wouldn't that be excited? So I shall wait with bated breath, but I won't hold my breath. And then the final piece of news. Exciting piece of news. Chris Metzen tweeted something this week. Traditionally, he hasn't been a big tweeter. I remember following him, you know, years ago when he set up Twitter. And he basically didn't say anything. He just never tweeted. But it's Chris Metzen. You've got to follow him because occasionally he might tweet something. It might be really important. He has increased his rate of tweets since he stopped being vice president, since he's sort of retired from Blizzard. He's increased that and he's sent out a really major one this week. And that is, which apparently it was discussed in a Warcraft documentary, but I've not seen that. He may be the voice of Thrall, and many Horde players may think he's their guy on the inside, or at least was. But Chris Metzen has confirmed that he is, through and through, a paladin. Not just any paladin, a human retribution paladin. Yes, of course he is. I always said he was a good chap, Chris Metzen. Very similar to myself. In fact, I was talking about this in the Azeroth review. But if you want some more details of that, watch that. I'll link it up there somewhere at the end. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the news from this week. If you did, don't forget to give it a like. Subscribe if it's the first time to my channel. Comment down below. And until next time, I'll see you later.